Shalom, shalom. So nowadays, things being difficult as they are, I look for excuses to be happy. And today, luckily, I do not have to look too far because as night comes upon us, we will be beginning the new month of Adar. And the month of Adar, we're told, Misha Nichnas Adar Marbim B'Simcha. Now, literally it means when we enter the month of Adar, we increase our joy. Now, this is one of my favorite things to talk about because I think it has been misinterpreted just because it sounds very simplistic that we, in this month, we have the month of Purim, and Purim is a very happy holiday where we celebrate that God saved us from the hands of our enemy, which still exists, by the way. I mean, Haman, Achashverosh in Persia wanted to destroy our whole nation. We were under the threat of annihilation. And nowadays, you look to Iran and things are not very different. They still want the utter destruction of Israel and our people. And it's a little bit of a scary thing, but not so scary if you live your life in the lens of this Adar, in the lens of bringing in this joy of Adar. Now, what does this mean exactly? So, a little bit to talk about here. First of all, Adar, the month Adar, has been said that it means, if you break it down, Aleph represents God, because God is, there's only one God, one really entity in this whole entire existence that we perceive. There's only God. There's only one, and it's God. So this is the reality. And Dar means like an apartment, so a place to dwell, a dwelling place. We say Dira means an apartment. It's a dwelling place. So when we talk about the month of Adar, we talk about making a dwelling place for God. Now, this is something that if we make a dwelling place for God, and I want to talk about what that means, that it will increase our simcha, increase our joy. So it's very much connected to this week's Parshat, Parshat Trumah. God says, "V'asuli mikdash v'shachanti b'tocham." He says, "Make for me a sanctuary, and I would dwell amongst you." Now, this seems to make absolutely no sense, being that we know God is not a human being. He doesn't have any of our human qualities, and we don't have to make a space for God who doesn't require space, or who can't fit in any sort of space. So what is God saying when he says, "Make for me a sanctuary and I would dwell within you"? So I think what this means is that God does fill up the whole universe. The only time we don't perceive God as being there is because we've pushed him out. So we can't sense him, we can't perceive him. So it's as if he's not in this space because we're not recognizing it. And our reality is only a perception. So if we don't make room, make space, push out that ego, all of our thoughts, everything we think we know, everything we think that is, because our mind is so finite and so only capable of limited understanding. And when we put in all our thoughts and conceptions and ideas, and we don't leave space for acknowledging that really everything is God, really everything's in the hands of God ultimately, that we have to acknowledge and want and see and try and sense and feel God, connect with God, because we all have God within. So if we make that space by pushing out the ego and all our conceptions, and we humble ourselves enough to make space, to make room, to empty out, clear our mind, like in meditation, when you try and clear your mind from all the thoughts that just naturally go in autoplay, and you make the space to connect with God, then that is a sanctuary. That is a safe place. That is a place where God will automatically, he's there. You will just sense him, and you will feel him, and he will be there. Meaning you will sense this dwelling, you will acknowledge it, and you will be dwelling one with God, because now your perception and reality have tuned in And God is dwelling amongst us, and we will sense it. We will know it. We will feel it. And it will be a wonderful place. And this is a type of inner peace that only comes from that connection. And so if we do this, if we are able to do this, then we feel God within, and we can see God within everything. This is the month of Purim. When we read Megillat Esther, when there is the holiday of Purim, there's no mention of God's name, meaning that it doesn't have to be there. It has to be something for us to sense on a higher level. So God's name is not there explicitly, but it's for us to search and to see, just like in every single day of our life. And so when we do that, we sense and we feel and we connect to a higher sense of being, and this brings us joy and inner peace. And this is something that is so great, and this is something that when we do, we are such a force, because when we connect with God and we know there's only one God, this is what we say, the prayer Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, is we acknowledge that we're all part of the same whole. And so then it leads us to this unified action, which will automatically just disperse the enemy, because the enemy has no power over us once we are united. So this brings me so much joy, and I look into this month before this that we go into the month of Nisan, which comes next. In order to be redeemed, you have to first know you are and tune into that and click with that, and the next step is just our total redemption and freedom, because when we connect and have that inner peace, we are free. We are free from all the shackles that bring us down. And to that, I really will say a l'chaim, first of many this month, and I wish you all a very safe, peaceful, warm, connected Shabbat Shalom and Chodesh Tov.